All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sanjay Mattu. The headlines. Government is making all efforts to counter threat from coronavirus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi monitoring the situation on day-to-day basis. Health Ministry issues school advisory asking parents and teachers to remain alert. Union Cabinet gives nod to company's Second Amendment Bill to enable the listing of Indian companies on stock exchanges in foreign jurisdictions. Jammu and Kashmir administration lifts ban on social media. Income Tax Department detects over 3,500 crore rupee TDS default by Oil and Telecom firms in Delhi. And in Women's T20 World Cup semi-finals, India to play England and South Africa to clash with Australia at Sydney today. India has taken the novel coronavirus threat very seriously, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is leading the efforts from the front to contain the spread of coronavirus. Interacting with the media yesterday, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said the Prime Minister himself is monitoring the situation on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Javadekar said the government is making all efforts to counter the threat from the coronavirus.
The government is proactively engaged to tackle the situation. Prime Minister himself is monitoring the situation every day. Cabinet Secretary and concerned officials meet every day. They do video conferencing with all state governments every day.
The Health Ministry is also maintaining a close watch on the situation, especially in setting up of isolation wards across the country and screening of people coming into India from abroad. Mr. Javadekar also informed that passengers are being screened at all the 21 international airports, and so far 6 lakh visitors have been screened. About 1 million people have been screened in the border areas adjoining Nepal, Bhutan and Myanmar. He said apart from the one virology lab in the country at Pune, the government has set up 15 new virology labs and 19 more will be set up within 1 week across the country. To check the spread of the novel coronavirus in the country, the government has decided to adopt a pan-government approach in partnership with states. In an interministerial meeting chaired by Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, Dr. P.K. Mishra, it was decided to open proper testing, isolation and quarantine facilities in various parts of the country down to the district level. Ministries of Home Affairs, Defence, Railways and Labour would also support and supplement the efforts of the Health Ministry through their facilities and hospitals. To further enhance the level of preparedness, there will be universal screening at all international airports and seaports through use of thermal imagery equipment. Also, filling of declaration forms of places visited by tourists and travellers returning from abroad is mandatory. The Union Health Ministry has issued a school advisory in the wake of the novel coronavirus outbreak. Schools have been advised to avoid any large gatherings of students during the course of the day in the school. Any student or staff with a travel history to a COVID-19 affected country or in contact with such persons in the last 28 days should be monitored and home quarantined for 14 days. Class teachers should be alert to any child with signs and symptoms like fever, cough and difficulty in breathing and should immediately inform the parents to have the child tested. The ministry has asked parents not to send the child back to school till advised so by the treating doctor. Meanwhile, the Central Board of Secondary Education, or CBSE, has said that students appearing for the 10th and 12th board examinations can carry face masks and hand sanitizers inside the exam hall. In a statement, the CBSE said it has been receiving several inquiries from students and parents in view of the ongoing issues related to the novel coronavirus. To disseminate information to the general public in a timely manner, including relevant advisories and do's and don'ts, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting was tasked to work closely with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Human Resource Development and the National Disaster Management Authority. Experts have advised people to follow basic protective measures so that they can keep themselves away from the novel coronavirus.
What basic protective measures regarding coronavirus should be followed by all? Wash your hands frequently, maintain social distancing, avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth, practice respiratory hygiene by covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. If you have fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical care at the earliest. Stay informed and follow the advice given by your healthcare provider. What are some protective measures to take while using a mask? Before putting on a mask, clean your hands with alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. Cover your mouth and nose with a mask and make sure there are no gaps. Replace the mask with a new one as soon as it is damp. Do not reuse single-use masks. Remove the mask from behind and avoid touching the front of the mask. Discard the mask immediately in a closed bin after use.
And for further information, people can call the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare 24/7 control room number 011-2397-8046 and email at ncov2019@gmail.com. Talking exclusively to AIR News, the director of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Randeep Guleria, said,
most people have a mild upper respiratory infection and it is self-limiting and they don't need to be admitted and they take mild treatment with paracetamol and other medication. Some patients, the infection goes into the lungs causing pneumonia, breathing difficulty, cough, and in children there can be increase in respiratory rate and some people can even go into septic shock. These people need to be admitted in the hospital.
The Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, IRDAI, has asked insurers to expeditiously settle hospitalization claims related to the novel coronavirus disease under health insurance policies. In a circular, the regulator has instructed insurance companies to come out with policies to cover treatment costs for coronavirus infection. The Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has formed a task force to monitor the emerging situation due to the novel coronavirus. He has said there is no need to panic. Addressing a press conference in New Delhi yesterday, Mr. Kejriwal said isolation wards in 19 government and 6 private hospitals are being readied across the national capital in case of need. Reports of new coronavirus cases are coming in from around the world, with outbreaks growing fast in Italy, Iran, South Korea and the United States. Italy has closed all schools and universities until March 15 as the number of deaths from the new coronavirus in the Mediterranean country hit 107. In Iran, authorities halted Friday prayers in all provincial capitals amid the country's growing coronavirus cases. The country has reported 92 deaths. In the United States, the 2 biggest cities reported 10 more coronavirus cases yesterday as lawmakers in Congress reached a deal to provide more than $8 billion to fight the outbreak. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts. International Women's Day will be celebrated on the 8th of this month. The government has taken a series of initiatives to empower women. People are using the hashtag IWD2020 and Beti Padhao Desh Badhao to share uplifting stories in the run-up to International Women's Day. Our Leh correspondent has filed a report.
In Ladakh, a young woman, Thinle Chorol, has introduced women trekking guide in the male-dominated trekking industry. To train the other women as trekking guide, she set up the first women travel company fully operated by women only. Every trekking season from April to September, she trained 20 to 30 rural women to work as trekking guide. She conducts trekking through homestays in rural areas, which has also become a source in empowering rural women economically as the homestay is run by women. The pioneer Thinle Chorol, talking to AIR, has said,
every season we take women who are interested to become a guide. We train them. They also become independent. They are also get income from working as a guide when they are working with us. Generally they get income even working with different other agencies. As soon as they become guide, some of them are also studying out of Ladakh.
The government of India, recognizing her pioneering work in transforming rural women through trekkers and entrepreneuring, has awarded her with Nari Shakti Puraskar and Women Transforming India. Yangchan Dolma for AR News from Leh, Ladakh.
The Jammu and Kashmir administration has lifted the ban on social media sites that was in place for over 7 months since the abrogation of Article 370 on August 5 last year. In a fresh order, the J&K administration said people would now be allowed internet access with 2G mobile data services. Earlier, the government had provided a list of websites that could be accessed in Jammu and Kashmir. The new order could be seen as a step towards bringing normalcy in the Kashmir Valley. The Union Cabinet has approved the Companies Second Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the Companies Act 2013. This will enable the listing of Indian companies on stock exchanges in foreign jurisdictions. The listing of Indian companies in foreign stock exchanges is expected to increase the competitiveness of Indian companies in terms of access to capital, broader investor base, and better valuations. Briefing the media yesterday, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the priority is to remove criminality under the Act, and the bill will further improve the ease of living for law-abiding corporates. She said 72 changes brought in the bill will lead to further declogging of the criminal justice system in the country.
First one was recategorizing 23 offences out of 66, and those 23 will have in-house adjudicating framework. Second is removing 7 altogether, which had compoundable offences nature. Third is limiting the punishment for 11 compoundable offences. Next point, 5 offences to be dealt under alternative framework. And the last is reducing the quantum of penalties for those 6 defaults which were decriminalized earlier.
The Income Tax Department has detected default of more than 3,500 crore rupees in tax deducted at source or TDS at a major oil company and a telecom operator in the national capital. The Central Board of Direct Taxes said in the case of the oil firm, a TDS default of about 3,200 crore rupees was detected. In the case of the telecom firm in Delhi, the TDS default amounts to 324 crore rupees as the company did not make the required TDS of 10% under the IT Act. In cricket, India will take on England in the first semi-final of the Women's T20 World Cup at Sydney today. The match will start from 9:30 a.m. Indian time. India have never made it to the final of a Women's T20 World Cup. The second semi-final between South Africa and Australia will also be played at Sydney today. The match will start from 1:30 p.m. Indian time. And now for a look at today's newspapers, it's over to Anuja Kumar.
Thank you, Sanjay. The coronavirus situation in India is the lead in all the papers. The Tribune reports all international flyers to be screened as COVID count mounts to 29. In the backdrop of the outbreak, the Pioneer notes PM, President, BJP Chief, Delhi CM won't hold Holy Milan. In legal developments in the backdrop of the Delhi riots, the Times of India quotes the Supreme Court as saying High Court's adjournment of hate speech case unjustified. The Asian Age writes, hear hate speech plea on Friday, SC tells HC. Taking note of the easing of access to social media in Jammu and Kashmir, the Pioneer writes, ban on social media lifted in J&K, no 3G, 4G services yet. Quoting a written reply by the government in the Lok Sabha, the Hindustan Times writes, Chandrayaan-3 launch in first half of 2021. And finally, citing the QS World University rankings, the Hindu reports IIT Bombay and Delhi ranked among world's top 50 tech institutions. And with that, it's back to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Anuja. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Government is making all efforts to counter threat from coronavirus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi monitoring the situation on day-to-day basis. Health Ministry issues school advisory asking parents and teachers to remain alert. Union Cabinet gives nod to company's Second Amendment Bill to enable the listing of Indian companies on stock exchanges in foreign jurisdictions. Jammu and Kashmir administration lifts ban on social media. Income Tax Department detects over 3,500 crore rupee TDS default by oil and telecom firms in Delhi. And in Women's T20 World Cup semi-finals, India to play England and South Africa to clash with Australia at Sydney today. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.